Sandy Wiley. Today's video, I thought I was going to do a video on teachers because an old teacher from high school passed away on Friday. I just found out last night on a post I was tagged in on Facebook. I knew this teacher, Mr. John Mullen, since I was 17 years old. And he was 34. I met him my senior year. And his wife was expecting their daughter at the time. And I kept in touch with him all these years. He moved to Pennsylvania, where he's from. And I was really affected, and I wasn't the only one affected by his death. It was sad. So when I thought about doing a video today, I said, how about I do a video on teachers, and dedicate it to Mr. John Mullen. And then I thought, you know what? I can still do that, but I think this video is going to be a little more broader than talking about just teachers. Today I want to do a video about people who've made an impact on our lives. It doesn't have to just be a teacher. I mean, it can be a teacher. It can be anyone, really. It can be a young child. It can be an elderly person. It can be a boss. It can be a friend. It can be a surrogate parent. It could even be an animal. Who's to say? But I wanted to do a video in dedication to my high school teacher, who obviously made an impact on a lot of people. I went on his, I wrote something special with a picture of him on his Facebook page, and I'm just floored by all the pictures of former students with him, and all the heartfelt, what's the word I'm looking for? Just what people are writing in, devastated and sad, and just how much he meant to them. That's what it is. They're pouring out their hearts, and they're saying, oh, he was there for me when my father died. Or another one said, he got me to like school. I hated getting up in the morning for school. Or, all these, students, former students of his, because he's retired. He has been retired for many years. He was 75 years old. But he kept in touch with all the students. So I guess that had a major impact on me, reading his Facebook page and thinking, you know what? When you die, doesn't it really, if you have people that you've really touched, who you made a major impact on, that really means everything. It's kind of like you're immortal, because if you're never forgotten, look at all the people writing on this teacher's Facebook page. They're writing about how he changed their lives, how he was there for them during a very difficult time. When you're teenagers, it's a very difficult time in your life. You're transitioning from being a child to an adult. When you're a teenager in high school, you're not really, a full adult yet. But you're neither a child. So it's that transitioning from a child into adult. And those growing years. The sitcom Growing Pains. Do you remember that? Growing Pains, yeah. It's during those growing pains when we're finding ourselves, we're deciding, what do we want to do with our lives? We start dating, we start getting jobs, and it's like when people like a teacher, a special teacher like Mr. Mullen comes in our lives and really impacts it in such a profound, positive way. And all these outpourings, all these old pictures too, of girls I know from high school. Um, even their sisters had Mr. Mullen, and they're posting pictures of him when he was much younger, when they were his students, and they're just saying these heartfelt things like what an impact he made, how he's never going to be forgotten. Some are saying, "Oh my God, I'm heartbroken to hear this." And I was just like, and yeah, I was so sad and thinking about that. So I decided that I want to dedicate the video to Mr. John Mullen and also talk about people that have had a major impact in our lives. Now, for me, I might have brought this up in other videos. Miss Sullivan, my 5th grade teacher, had a major impact on my life. She was like, let's see, if I was I was 10 years old, and she was like, I'd say she was about 25, so she's only like 15 years older than me, but not old enough to be like a mother figure in my life. But she was very motherly to me, and I hated. My mother was verbally, physically beat me up, verbally abusive and emotionally abusive, as you all know of you. And so Miss Sullivan was everything I would want in a mother, even though she's only 15 years older than me, which isn't old enough to really be a mother. It's probably old enough to be a big sister or something. And she was just so soft. Everything opposite of what my mother was. My mother was loud and, swore all the time. She was soft-spoken and very gentle and patient. And she invited me in the teacher's room one time after school to have milk and cookies with my best friend. And she made an impact on me. I didn't keep in touch with her. Obviously, Mr. Mullen made an impact on me. I'll tell you, I had the biggest crush on him, for years, like 20 years. 20 years I had a crush on him, probably from 17 till, oh God, I don't know, in my 40s. But I want to think about other people, other than teachers now, that had a major impact on my life, because that's what the whole subject of this video is. And one comes to mind, my minister. I grew up Catholic. My husband was Protestant. Now, I was baptized and had Holy Communion and went to Catholic schools in the Catholic Holy Name Church in West Roxbury on Center Street. My husband was Protestant, and he went to United Church in Walpole. Religion wasn't as important to me as it was to him. My husband reads the Bible every single day. That's how religious he was. He was, even one time when he was young, he wanted to become a minister himself. He did. He really wanted to become a minister before he got involved in computers. But so his church was very important to him. And because I knew how important it was to him, I joined his church, and we got married in his church. My mother hated that. She wanted the big Catholic wedding. Catholics, they have all the statues, the stained glass, all the, ornaments, and what do we say, all the, the big statues, the stained glass windows, the, what is the word I'm looking for? The big showy, ornamental, I can't think of the word, but showy. She wanted that. The big, long altar, like a mile long. It was, colossal, the church inside, upstairs where they marry people. And my husband's Protestant church was like the Puritans, like the Amish people, like wooden benches, like very small, no statues, like very unfurnished, My mother liked the big showy stuff. Maybe that's where I get all the makeup and the big hair. Maybe that's part of me, the dramatic, showy part I got from her. But anyway, so we ended up there. Now, since I joined a church, I felt like I was half Protestant and half Catholic, because I still had my Catholic roots. You know, you can take the girl out of the Catholic Church, but you can't take Catholicism out of the girl. And there was, I lost my parents back to back, and our son almost died from pneumococcal meningitis. As a result, he got traumatic brain injury, and as you all know, he has the mind of a 2-year-old, and he's 6'2". He was spent 2 years in the hospital, and at that time, the minister at that time was Weldon Palmer. My husband lost his job, like everything was, read my books, okay? It says it all. My cousin stole my inheritance. I mean, my parents died within 3 months of each other, back to back. I don't want to get into the whole thing in this video, but I wrote him because I love to write, because I'm a writer. I wasn't a writer then, okay? I didn't write any poetry. I didn't write any books. I wasn't a writer back then. But this is how I knew I was born to write, because I would write him, and it would feel very therapeutic to me. And my husband called him, his daughter had a brain tumor, and she entered Franciscan Children's Hospital when my son was leaving it to go into the May Center, and a full-time, living facility, after he spent 2 years at Franciscan. So they just overlapped, They just overlap. They just miss each other, He was leaving Franciscan, and Weldon's daughter, Franny, was entering it. Now, it was a benign brain tumor, but still a brain tumor. Brain surgery, Still a thing. So my husband called him up and told him all about Alex, and that he just left as Weldon's daughter entered, and I wrote him emails saying about what happened with my family and my cousin and my parents and Alex. He really was a savior. My husband was not working, I wasn't working, and he took his ministry fund. They have a limited fund, and he paid a lot of our utility bills with his minister's fund. But it wasn't just like monetary things he gave us. He saw us, he gave us counsel, he got me, I hate to say this because I've had such a horrible experience with therapists, but he told me, you really need to see a psychologist, and he got me one for free. He probably paid for it out of his minister's funds, because we didn't have any insurance either at that time. We were just we were living with, over my parents, so we weren't paying rent. They were feeding us, my parents. Oh no, my parents died, but it was right when my parents died, but right before then. You're gonna go, what? Didn't you just say your parents died? Right. My parents died back to back, but right before they died, we were living over them. They were feeding, for a period of time. My husband was out of work for years. We were kind of living off them. You see what I mean? Before they died. I'm sorry. It's this old age thing, right? So we still lived in that house. They just died back to back. And so he made a major impact in my life. I'll never forget him, ever. I'll never forget what he said to me. He goes, where there is love, there is great pain. That's what he said. Where there is love, there is great pain. And that was profound. I'll never forget that. You know how you'll never forget certain things that people say to you? It's like etched in your brain. The horrible part about it is that half the congregation hated him because they thought he played favorites. What can I say? Can I deny he played favorites? So the people that he wasn't helping, you know, he had the people he liked and then the other people. And the people he liked, he did everything for. But the other people, they kicked him out of the church because he was playing favorites. He was only helping, you know, a portion of the, I don't know the percentage. He was helping a small portion of the church, the ones he likes. And the other people, well, see what I'm saying? So they made enough big stink about it, and they threatened his family. And anyway, they kicked him out, and another minister came in. And then I lost touch with him. I wrote him at his new, you know, congregation, and he never wrote me back. I guess he had bad vibes. I guess he wanted to sever all connections with that church, you know, including the people that he liked and helped out. But anyway, you know how it is. I tried to stay in touch, but it didn't, you know, not like with Mr. Mullen. We did stay in touch. Well, he was in my neighborhood. You know, he was living in Rosendale, you know. My son did martial arts across the street from where he lived, literally. Here's my son's martial arts school, and here's Mr. Mullen's house. I've been in his house. I went in his house, and, you know. So anyway, getting back to people that made a major impact in our lives. I'm sure that, you know, and that can be positive and negative. Now, that was the positive ones. What about the negative ones? Dr. Richard Geist, Dr. James Barbaria. And how many books have I written about these two? Right? There have been people, psychologists, that made a very negative impact in my life. Because before my 40s, I never had a drinking problem. I've said this over and over again. I could drink a glass or two, a beer, you know, or wine. I didn't drink every day. At best, I might have drank once a week, 1 or 2 drinks a week, 1 or 2. Now, I drink like 2.5 glasses of wine every day, and that's cut back from 4 or 5 vodka drinks. I've cut back. And it's been because I was severely sexually exploited. In my new book, you gotta read it. Sexually exploited by 3 psychologists. Oh shit, I shouldn't have said that. This is YouTube. But anyway. So I won't concentrate on the negative part. I won't tell you about the time I went to my therapy with Dr. Richard Geist, and he put me on a collar. You know what collar the dogs wear? And a leash? And treated me like a dog. Literally walking me around the office, pulling me on a collar and leash. Get the book. Get the book. The link will be down below, but get the book. But anyway, so it works both ways. People that had a major impact on you can be both positive and it can be both negative. And I told you the positive ones and the negative ones for me. Now I want to hear about if you've had anyone who's made a major impact in your life. You gotta let me know in the comments because I'm interested in you. We have some great people that, you know, comment all the time, and I love you people. I love you because I love to hear from my subscribers. I want to know more about you. I want you to tell me who's made an impact on your life. I want to know, you know. I love reading my comments, right? I love them and I read all of them. I promise. I read every single comment that you send me. So let me know, either negative or positive. It could be either one. Let me know who's made an impact on your life. Okay, until next time, take care.